Good morning. Sorry, I'm a tad late. Okay. Okay, Leica R's today. Have about 5 of them. I'm not sure how many we'll get through though. Hello from damp and cold London. Good morning, Damien. It's damp and cold. Actually, it has cleared up. The last couple of days have been damp and cold. We've had very odd weather here in Chatsworth, north of Los Angeles. We had hail 2 days in a row, which was very odd. But it's beautiful outside now, so I'm going to give chat a minute or two to join up here before I start modding stuff. And we have some show and tell. I got these in the mail. This was in mail time. This was confusing to me at first. So Tribe 7, for anyone that's, oh, good morning, Phil. Hello from Paris. Johnny, good morning. Tribe 7 is a relatively new lens manufacturer. They're doing sort of specialty vintage-inspired lenses. And Tribe 7 makes a set of lenses called the Blackwings. Well, Blackwing is also a pencil manufacturer. It does very high quality artistic inspired pencils. So Tribe 7 partnered with Blackwing to produce some really cool pencils. The iconic Blackwing pencil was blah 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 blah, winning creatives throughout the 20th century. Blackwing and Tribe 7, etc., etc. So they did a limited run of these. So this is set 1055. And they're kind of cool. I like the optical layout there. Obviously it's not accurate. The air spacing is all over the place. So they're kind of nice. They've got this tapered gold. And then the focal lengths of the set, 27, 37, 47, 57, 77, 107, and 137. And then the Tribe 7 logo sort of wrapped around there. So, pretty cool. I'll have to sharpen at least one of them, but I will probably leave most of them untouched. Just sort of a collector's item. So there's mail time, if you want to call it that. Okay, the first lens. Let's see. Is this accurate? 50 Summicron. Yes, it is accurate. You're gonna... So I haven't done a mod stream for a couple days. A couple weeks, actually. Because it was super windy here in Chatsworth. The last time I did do one, it was so windy. All of our ceilings are drop ceilings, so they're suspended. And when it gets really windy, every single beam and wire creaks and cracks, and it was just too loud to do the mod stream. So it's much less windy this weekend, but we do have the machines all running full tilt, so you'll hear some of that still. Sorry, but we do have a business to maintain. Are they the tunable lens? Sort of, yes. The Tribe 7 are the lens, or the company that's making the sort of tailored look lenses. By the way, thanks for making that 3XL. Nice. Yeah, yours did ship, Johnny. You should be getting that very soon. Alright, so that's 50. What else do we need? My cups. I'm still missing. Somebody took a cup or two. Gotta go find those, or I'll just get more. Grease. Gotta have grease. Okay. Caffeinated tools, grease. We should be good to go. Oh, new routine. I've been really trying to finalize my my database for Leica R's, and I'm starting to work on contacts primes as well to get my definitive database nailed in. So this is a 50 Summicron Lux Summilux 51.4, of which there are 5 different versions. So serial number 3115. This falls into a category I don't have numbers for. This is why this database is so tricky. Well, I'm gonna assume this falls under this one. Okay, so number of blades, 6. We have a weight of 460 grams. Let's see if that's accurate. $402. Maybe that's with caps. Still not even quite. Or maybe it's, I don't think this came with a hood, but let's just update that. 402. Okay. All right. 1981. Where do you get that number, Phil? Let's see. See, that doesn't match up with mine. I have... Oh, maybe. Maybe this is the previous version. You might be right there, Phil, and this is actually the prior model instead of the one that I just put it under. You know what, that does make more sense because the weight that I have for this one is 404 grams, which matches up much better. So let's get rid of that. Okay. All that means is I need to update this serial number range. 3115. Model number 11216. That is not a thing. That's a 50 Summicron. 11216 is a Summicron, Phil. This is a Summilux. Check again. If your date is right there, Phil, then this should be model 11776. There you go. Okay. Okay, so I think that's all the info I can get from this lens now. And it's a 55mm front, I believe. E55, yes, okay. Fantastic. Honestly, this is the reason I've been working on this database for so long. People will email or call, you know, they'll say they're doing their own mods, and they're trying to figure out which front ring or which filter thread their lens has. Maybe it didn't come with the cap. Now, that's the easiest trick, is you look at the inside of the cap, if it's the correct cap, obviously. And if it says E55, or if it says E55 on the lens, which this one does not, then that's how you know that it's a 55mm front filter thread. But a lot of lenses these days won't come with the original caps, so you don't necessarily know. Or it's the press-on style, it didn't have that number. So that's one of the primary reasons that I started this database, was so that I could confidently tell people when they call or email and say, hey, what filter thread do I have? I could just say, okay, give me your serial number, and I could look at my database and say, oh, you need a 55mm front ring. So hopefully that becomes reliable enough that I could use it often. But as it is right now, it's still at the point where I have to say, hey, I think it's 55mm, but you can't blame me if I'm wrong. I mean, half of the lenses in this database are still, you know, it'll say 55 or Series 7, or 67 or Series 8. So I have to really refine those as best I can. But it's 127 lines long for this database. There's 127 different models of Leica R lenses. And I don't think, I'm pretty sure this is just prime lenses. This does not include any of the zooms. I have another more generic database that I'm building, more of a wiki, that does include the zooms, but I'm not even going to touch those for now, as far as the data collection goes. Alright, condition-wise, this lens. Let's get out of here. This is in pretty good shape. The rubber is really nice and soft, which I like to see. Almost no brassing. A couple dings and dents on this rear baffle. I can tell that this focal length engraving has been repainted. You can see right here on this side of the 0. I don't know if it'll focus that close. There you go. It's been repainted. Somebody tried to touch it up. Not a bad job. It just shows that this lens is not all original. There you go. I just chipped it off. So I suspect we'll see some signs of tampering when we open it up. But the anodizing is all in fantastic condition. The paint is great. A little bit of yellowing on the Made in Germany. I see a little bit of slipping. It looks like someone had a tool in there and they slipped on that screw. Focus feels really good. Really minor scuffs, scratches on the anodizing. But the focus feels fantastic. Glass is in excellent shape. Again, very minor. Actually, that might even clean off. Let's find out. Yeah, that came right off. You can also tell previous patterns. I don't know if it's going to show up. Yeah, it showed up a little bit on there. You can see where someone used like a Q-tip or some kind of rubber or rubbing motion to try and clean this element. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. I can see it here, but to get the right angle on the camera is difficult. Overall, though, very good condition. So Phil, you're enjoying... Oh, I wonder if the weight discrepancy is related to the occasional included lens hood. Hard to track. No, I think I had the wrong model number. I think you were right about the year that it was manufactured. And if that was the case, if it is the one that you said, then it was only off by 2 grams, which is... That's the weight of a cap. That's no big deal. It's negligible. But Phil, I was going to ask you about that Midicon. I'm sure you recall back when you used to actually see each other, that Midicon lens that was always on my Fuji camera. That's the same lens that you've got on the Komodo. And I want to know your thoughts now that you've had some time with it. Good price value wise. Doesn't compare to the rather nice EF 50.95. Iris is a little loose, yeah. The iris in mine, because it's so used now, it squeaks every time I go past like 1.8 or something, it squeaks. Okay. Not a whole lot of signs of wear and tear here, so that's encouraging. Almost no lubrication, though. That's a little concerning. In fact, almost no lubrication. Yeah, this is, for the most part, dry. Hi Matt, I was searching for lens cleaner and came across a post where you mentioned Pancro as overhyped. Will Zeiss wipes be okay on vintage glass? It's not that Pancro's overhyped, it's just that it's the brand that everybody knows. But there's not really a whole lot of difference between Pancro and other alcohol-based cleaners. So the Zeiss wipes are okay, but they're a little... Zeiss wipes can be tricky to work with because they're so moistened. They have so much cleaning solution in them. You need part of your wipe to be dry in order to get a clean lift off the lens. So a Zeiss wipe will work fine, it's just going to be a challenge. Okay, this all feels really nice, so I don't have to go any deeper to clean out the mobile ring. You have the coolest job in the world, by the way. I definitely enjoy it. Thank you. I do enjoy the Saturday morning mod streams. It's very low pressure, and it's a nice break from the rest of the week. It's a lot of engineering and CAD work, project managing stuff. I think the mod stream is nice because it sort of lets me get back to my roots as a lens tech. It's like the entry-level technician work. What solution are you using to clean off grease off of the aperture ring? This one, it's not anything... it's not legal in a lot of places, so I'm not going to say what it is, but it's a petroleum-based degreaser. So you could use practically any degreaser. The benefit to this one is that it evaporates almost instantly. You know, if I put a little drop on my desk, that'll be gone in a minute or two. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. So that's the benefit of this one, but it's not available readily, so don't bother. if you need something similar, methanol, or I mean, honestly, if you just look for degreaser, pretty much anything is going to do the same job. It's just not going to evaporate as fast. I also won't recommend this because you have to have really good ventilation. If I didn't have this, you know, if this wasn't an actual office built for technician work, I'd be high as a kite right now. I've been looking at Contax Zeiss 60mm. What is your opinion on it? I love the 60. I'll be doing the 60 Leica macro here shortly. But the Contax stuff, I love all of those. We got a nice rare one in this week. The Zeiss Contax 135 f2, I think, the 60th anniversary edition. Very cool lens. It's the vintage bottle that makes it dry quicker. That's not vintage. Talking about this? This is, I mean, it's not new, but still buy these brand new. I just happen to have been using this same one for probably, I don't know, 15 years. This song is a little bit too sad. Skip it. Do you play music even when you're not streaming? Absolutely. I'll usually have headphones on just so that I can sort of stay focused. No pun intended. And so that I don't have to hear stuff like that. And this lens is in really good shape. I don't see a lot of wear on the internal parts, like this iris ring that rubs. It's known to rub. What do you think the Rokkor MDMC lens is? Considering Minolta's history with Leica, these lenses must be an interesting character lenses to work with. Personally, I like the Rokkors. They don't lend themselves as well to motion picture work as the Leica Rs, but they're still a good option, I think. But to each their own. Have you been vaccinated there in Alaska? No, I have not. I will get it as soon as I am allowed to, but I'm probably in the lowest priority group. I'm not an essential worker. I'm not a healthcare worker. I don't work with kids. I'm not old. I'm not at risk at all. So I will probably be in the very last group to be vaccinated. But a lot of friends and family have been vaccinated, so it's going well, I think. Good morning, Max. I see a lens cleaner question in the chat above, which makes me remember a recent discussion I had about lens wipes. Oh yeah, I think you had asked. Someone was saying Kim wipes contain cellulose if you look at them under a microscope, and they can damage vintage coatings. I would say if you're concerned about damaging your coatings with a Kim wipe, then nothing can save you. By that logic, any contact with the lens, with any physical material, is a potential to damage the coatings. Period. Doesn't matter what the wipe or material is. So yes, there is always a risk of damaging the coatings, no matter how good the wipe is. There's a lot of people that swear by the, I don't have any here in front of me, but there's an even more lint-free wipe. Oh, maybe I do have it. No, I don't. I don't know where I put them. I don't know where they went. I can't even remember what they're called, but it's almost like tissue paper. It's not absorbent at all. And some people use those because they're super low lint, but the same logic applies there. You could easily scratch something. I would say there's two parts to cleaning a lens. The materials, meaning the wipe, the fluid, the cleaning, whatever the case is, and the technique. You can give an absolute noob the best equipment and they're still going to scratch their lens because they have bad technique. And vice versa, you can give a seasoned veteran lens technician terrible tools, terrible materials, and they will probably also scratch the lens, or they'll know better and say, I'm not going to clean it with that. What do you think about the Meike Super 35 prime lenses? I have mixed feelings on those. I think they're a good value. I think they're a great stepping stone. I have not been super impressed with their build quality and their reliability. They were saying one should use synthetic wipes since those fibers are much softer than any coating, while cellulose particles are basically wood, which is harder. Yeah, yes and no, Max. It's still a matter of technique, and the reason I don't really... There's two reasons I don't think that synthetic wipes are a good alternative. One, we have 10 full-time technicians that use Kim wipes every day. You know, your average lens, if you're talking about like a small prime lens, maybe you use a couple dozen wipes per lens. A big zoom lens, like an Optimo 24-90, you're talking about probably half a box worth of wipes for one lens. and synthetic wipes are extremely expensive. It's just not logical at all. It doesn't help get the lens cleaner or keep it safer. And furthermore, as far as coating scratches go, you're far more likely to get a coating scratch from some sort of debris that's already on the glass, not from the wipe itself. So for that debris that's already on the lens, that's going to scratch your lens, whether you're using an absolutely flawless synthetic wipe or a piece of, Kleenex. It's still going to scratch the coating if you get that contamination, that dirt or dust or whatever it is between your wipe and the lens. I got the Micro Four Thirds kit and I've enjoyed using them, although I may have just gotten lucky. Yeah, that's my point, Patrick, is some of them we've seen they've been great. They're a solid lens, and then there's other ones that we've rejected straight away for a variety of issues. Yeah, so Max, if someone's having issues with Kim wipes, I mean, I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but if you're having issues with Kim wipes, then you might want to consider your technique and not the materials. That could be the drawback, or the weakest link. Good morning, Luca. Like a Summicron-C, they cover full frame or super. Summicron-Cs are definitely super 35 only. The longer focal lengths, like above 50, might cover full frame, but they definitely weren't designed to cover full frame. you had the choice in investing in Cine-Mod vintage set, what route would you go? I've been filtering the idea. Currently own the DZO zooms but want a prime set. If you own the DZO zooms, I would probably recommend just going with the DZO primes. They'll match really well, and I mean, you'll get full cinema features in a brand new lens. If you're set on going vintage, then personally, I really like the Leica Rs, but I would not hesitate for a moment to shoot with Zeiss Contax or even Nikon AIS. I love all three of those. I think my preference for Leica R is just that. It's strictly passion. I couldn't possibly give a concrete benefit to the Leica Rs over the Zeiss Contax. It's purely subjective. What is a good full frame zoom lens? Ooh, I mean, how good do you want? If you want the best, you've got to go with something like the Fujinon Permistas. If you're looking for something that's sort of good enough to get the job done and is a good value, the Angenu EZs are fantastic. They're not going to perform as well as the Permistas, but yeah, that's that trade-off. That's that compromise. If you want the best, Permistas are the way to go. And then you've got that middle ground right in between. If you want to sacrifice some zoom range but keep the image quality, you get something like a Zeiss compact zoom. I also own the DZO zooms in the exact same spot. I haven't been crazy about the look from them. About the look from what? The zooms or the primes? Alright. This mount looks beautiful. Speaking of mounts, I think I put it on the mod stream. Oh, maybe it was in a Facebook group. I don't remember. But we are going to begin selling our mounts. Finally. People have been asking us for 10 years if we can just sell the mounts. And I think we're actually finally going to start offering them. So for people that want to do their own mods, you can buy just our EF conversion kit, which will be, in my opinion, the best EF conversion. Precision machine from stainless steel. These are going to be absolutely rock solid. I personally love to mix both Leicas and Contax. That's living dangerously. Mixing Zeiss and Contax. I'm sorry, Leica and Contax. Vintages, in my experience, have more CA than my DZO zooms. Really? Oh, then the zooms. Yeah, the primes actually had I'd say a noticeable, not excessive, but noticeable amount of chromatic aberration. Wish you guys would sell the follow focus gears also. Well, that probably won't happen. And this is a perfect example of why. So, this is a rubber grip. This rubber grip over the last 20, 30, 40 years can become loose, or it can, it can sort of contract, it can shrink. So there's no easy way for us to have a firm number to cut these gears to. Every single gear is CNC machined, and then tailored to this lens, this specific lens. So there's not, there's not a shelf full of gears for the 50 Summilux. We have sort of generic sizes, but when this lens comes in, it goes to our technicians and they measure and cut this gear for this lens. So in that regard, we can't really do that for for lenses that aren't here, that we can't measure ourselves. And we could rely on people sending us the measurements and then saying, okay, we'll cut it and then ship it, but that would just end up with a lot of disappointment. We ship a lens halfway around the world and it doesn't fit, and they've got to send it back, and we've got to cut a new one, send that one again, and it's logistically, it just doesn't make sense. When we talk about radioactive lenses like Canon FD or old Russian lenses, how dangerous are they? FDs and Russian lenses aren't the ones that worry me. Those are very, very low risk. The lenses that do read high, even then, they're not. The way it was explained to me by what I consider a professional as far as radiology goes, is if you had an element, so it's not the whole lens, it's usually one piece of glass in that lens assembly. If you took that element out, cracked it open, and then slept with it under your I just read the word microwave, under your pillow, maybe that would be a risk. But just handling it while the element is still whole, handling the lens with the element inside the lens, it's not really a risk. Where are you putting the gear? In the microwave? No. You can use a microwave. We use a heating chamber. There's a lot of methods that people say, a hair dryer or a heat gun or something. That's all way too random. To get a gear, for these to fit perfectly, it has to be perfectly even heat distribution. So there's a lot of tricks, there's a lot of other stuff that people throw around. Is there a website, a platform, or even a book to learn more about the history of old and current lenses designs? Yes and no. I mean, there's tons of content all over the web as far as specific lens design goes. So like one lens, maybe a famous lens. But in general, there's that's the thing. Not a whole lot of books are written about photographic lens design because it's too specific. I'd say 90% of the books that I have learned from are focused on light and physics as a whole, because that's really what we're talking about here. But it's not common to find material that will explain the relation of the optics to the mechanics, what we call the optomechanical design. They're two separate topics that you usually won't find a book about. You'll find books on the physics of light, electromagnetic waves. Then you'll find books on designing mechanics. But to have both of those, it's not common. Do you think there's a set of lenses that people sleep on that are really good and most people don't know because they're not popular? I'm not sure what you mean by sleep on. I don't have the front ring for this lens right now because we're redesigning most of them. So this one is sort of done for the moment. Oh, you mean like a sleeper? No, I think pretty much everyone has caught on to the trends. There's not really any secrets anymore. Maybe still the Mamiya Secor Cs. Even those have become popular. They're starting to become much more difficult to find in good condition. Maybe go Milvus route than the ZF2 version in Cine-Mod then. Milvus are fantastic lenses for the money. I shouldn't say for the money because they are kind of pricey, but for what they are, they're really, really good lenses. They're basically faster CP3s. I don't know if Zeiss, when they announced the CP3s, they didn't want us even acknowledging it, but I think they're kind of over that now. But the CP3s are the same glass as the Milvus. I have an interesting question about CA, specifically the cyan orange lateral CA. I'm taking a course on optics right now, and one of the intro lectures was about CA. You'll see a rise in lenses that were previously tricky to adapt to EF, in particular now that RF and E mount are so popular. Yeah, I agree with that entirely, Phil. Now that you can use a mirrorless cinema camera, I think we'll see an uptick in a lot of those. What's the difference between CP3 and CP2? In some focal lengths, nothing at all. Like the 15 and the 135, same exact optics. Oh, thank you, John. You just reminded me. Yes, this is the 60. But for most of the important focal lengths, like the 35, the 50, the 85, it is a brand new design and it is a much better optical design. Plus, their CP3s are much smaller and lighter than the CP2s, which I really appreciate. Sorry, that air is getting really loud again. Is this 2.8? What is this? 2.8, yeah. Elmar or Elamrit? before I forget, I'll give you guys the quick sponsored section. There you go, bottom left. This episode brought to you by lens-geek.com. Use that link and it'll take you to the coupon. I think it'll automatically apply a coupon code. I like the smaller lenses. I don't like big, huge housing with cine lenses. Yeah. Leica R, the same glass and design to the Panavision Premium. No, that is a major misconception. So I'll go over the common Leica R Panavision misconception real quick, because I have to do some housekeeping anyway for this, for my database. And find the 60 macro. There are 4 versions of the Macro-Elmarit-R. 365. This should be the 1986 to 1997 version. Okay. Focus ring material, aluminum. So for this one we have a diameter 2.57. Let's see if that matches up. That should. Yep, perfect. And a weight of 398 grams. This was actually updated recently. I think it was August 2020. So this should all be perfectly accurate. What did I say? 398. Bingo. So I'll update that to March 13th. Okay, so the Leica R Panavision thing. So Panavision does not make lenses, period. Panavision has never made lenses. A company called Elcan, Ernst Lights Canada, which is the company that made glass for Leica. It was a part of Leica. They accepted commissions from Panavision to manufacture glass for some of the Panavision lenses. So the glass that Panavision commissioned, or contracted, however you want to phrase it, came from Elcan, came from the same factory that produced Leica R, some Leica R lenses. So one could say that their DNA is similar because they came from the same materials and the same factory. But the Primos are not Leica R lenses. Plain and simple. They are completely different designs. One thing that also gets commonly retold inaccurately. There was a company called Dalsa Digital that made arguably the first digital cinema camera, the first 4K digital cinema camera. Dalsa, for their cinema camera, needed lenses to rent out with the camera. And for a short period of time, Dalsa hired Dan Sasaki, who was formerly a Panavision employee, and has since gone back to Panavision. But for a short period of time, Dalsa used Dan Sasaki to basically make prime lenses for Dalsa. Dan, instead of making a brand new lens, took Leica R lenses and rehoused them, which is what most people now know as the Dalsa primes. The Dalsa primes are literally Leica R lenses rehoused into a PL mount for that Dalsa camera. So there's a lot of confusion there because Dan Sasaki is basically the Panavision lens guru who made the lenses for Dalsa So some people think there's some cross-contamination there between Panavision and Leica R's, but that's what it is. Professor was saying that the light is dispersed. Red and cyan wavelengths are focused in a different manner than the rest of the light, which results in cyan red fringing. And I wouldn't say it's a different manner, no. Light focus is in the same manner. They have different wavelengths. So they travel at different speeds. He said cyan usually is on the outside edges of the contrast temperature, closer to the edge, while red gets closer to the center. So I've asked if there are designs where the opposite is true. And he said yes. Blue is closer to the edge of image circle, red closer to the center. So my question is, have you ever encountered the opposite? Yes and no. So the other thing that you need to keep in mind is your focus point relative to your film plane. If your film plane is here, and you have forward and behind your film plane, that's going to determine the color of that fringing. The other fringing that you're talking about, where you're looking at the opposite axis, not parallel to your film plane, but perpendicular. I don't know that I've seen it the opposite. Alright, let's dig into this guy. Oh, condition. Some minor specs in the anodizing right there on the housing, right there. The engravings are all the original paint. Almost no brassing or wear on the mount. Overall, this is in really good shape. So, quite happy. You mentioned 4 versions of the 60 macro. Do they have the same dimensions? I believe so. Where is my 60 macro? I only have dimensions on 2 of them, and those dimensions are the same, the 2 latest versions. So this one that I just confirmed in my list, and the next version, which was the latest version, 1997 and up, and those 2 do have the same dimensions. Same dimensions, same weight. As far as I could tell, no major difference. The only major difference between this one and the latest one is this is the cam mount, and the latest one is the ROM mount. For what it's worth, the 2 previous versions, 1972 to 1980, and then 1980 to 1986, I have not entered into my database, so I can't confirm any of that, any of the info on the previous 2 versions. Sorry. Ooh, these screws are snug. This is the other reason we've hesitated to offer our mounts as a DIY solution. These screws in Leica R's, and even more so in-size contacts, can be very difficult, and the last thing we want to do is encourage people to start pulling these mounts off and then ruin their screws, because there's nothing we can do. We can't help you with that. You know, you send your lens to us, and if something goes wrong, obviously we take care of it. We stand behind our work. But if you try to take a mount off and you strip a screw, that's on you. So we're trying to make sure that we educate people at the same time that we offer these new products, because we don't want anyone to get stuck or feel like we falsely encouraged or gave them false hope they could just do these modifications willy-nilly. Alright, this all looks like it's in really good shape. Oh, and yes, I think Johnny said it way up. I'm not gonna find it, but Johnny, yes, that other. I don't know if I mentioned the shirt that's coming next, but yes, we will do all sizes. Maybe I did mention it at some point, but yeah, there is a very special t-shirt design coming to Lens Geek soon. In fact, if you guys, if nothing speaks to you, if you go to lens-geek.com and nothing speaks to you there, definitely at the very least subscribe, because there's going to be some really cool designs coming soon. Oh, Johnny, there's more coming. Don't worry. gonna have your hands full running the store and doing this. Well, luckily I have help on both ends. The mods, we have plenty of technicians that do this when I'm doing other stuff. And then for Lens Geek, that's a side family business that my wife helps out with. All right, let's hold off on that. Mr. Gomez, thank you very much. Have you reviewed the new Speed Milvis? Would you recommend them? How's the CA on the Milvis? The Speed Milvis? I'm not sure what that is. Speed Milvis. Are you talking about the regular Milvis, the 1.4 Milvis lenses? Use Ice Speed Milvis. I believe they released a new set of 1.4, 25, 35, 50, 85. Yeah, those are, I mean, those have been out for a while. I have reviewed those. Those are, all of the Milvis are fantastic. They are an upgrade from the classics in practically every way. Even the, you know, I never liked the 18mm, but they increased the speed on that. That went from a f3.5 to a f2.8, which was nice. I mean, the 18 was always the sort of the dog of the set, but those Milvis, those are fantastic lenses. They're at just a hair below the Otis as far as image quality goes, and they're much more affordable than the Otis. Are you a Nikon guy or a Canon? And maybe a dumb question, but how come Nikon hasn't come out with their own Cine camera? Or maybe I'm missing something. Nikon tried. Nikon tried very hard to get into the Cine business. I definitely was a Nikon guy. So I had a short-lived career as an actual editorial photographer for a couple magazines here in LA. And during that editorial time, when it wasn't, you know, passion photography and hobbyist stuff, I shot Nikon. And that was around the time that Nikon was trying to get into video. And they did. They had, what was it? The D70 or something like that. I can't remember. And then they had a handful of full-frame video-enabled cameras, but they just couldn't keep up with Canon. So I think some of their cameras still have video functionality, but none of them are like what Canon's doing with their Canon or Sony with their hybrid stuff. They just kind of got left behind. Good evening from Spain. I'm good. How are you? We are Cinema. Good, I'm looking to get a new anamorphic scope to explore and build a set this year. Best of luck to you. There are going to be plenty of anamorphic options in the near future. Okay, sorry, I had to move my chat here. What is your preferred cine camera? Oh, I don't even pretend to have a preferred cine camera. That's like asking me what my preferred lens is. the lens and the camera that's going to work best for that job. What's your opinion on Arri Master Zoom? It's extremely heavy and extremely oversized for what it is, but it is a fantastic zoom as far as image quality goes. Rehouse lenses often give a lot of maintenance, ? Yes, definitely. You can't get away from that. Obviously, it's going to be less maintenance than a 50-year-old housing. But yeah, it will be easier to maintain a newer, cleaner housing from someone like TLS or Zero Optic. But keep in mind, you can have a brand new housing from a inferior manufacturer, someone, a rehousing company that doesn't really know how to do it properly, and it's gonna make things more difficult. I don't want to use too many names because I'm not trying to bash anyone, but let's use a Leica R for example. If you have a 50mm Summicron and the focus needs an overhaul or the lens needs an overhaul. We can do that here. We'll take the Leica R in its original housing and we'll tear it down, clean it, all new lubrication, put it all back together, and it'll be beautiful. Whereas there are certain rehousings that if the lens is rehoused, we won't touch it because we know that those materials and those quality, the build quality is inferior to even the original 50-year-old housing. So be careful. You get what you pay for with lens rehousings. Just because it's rehoused doesn't mean it's better than it was. No. Arri Master Zoom versus 24 to 290. Oh, 24 to 290 all the way. For me, you're going to get more character. You're going to have more geometric distortion, a little bit more illumination fall off in the corners with the ingenue, but that is an absolute workhorse of a lens. That 24 to 290 will run for the next 50 years, no problem, with maintenance, obviously. Have you tried the Avioscope? I have not tried one myself, but I've seen a lot of good content shot with it. Is there a lens that you missed the chance to buy cheap and today it would be worth it? Oh, every super speed set we've ever serviced. I've been a lens technician for about 20 years now. Almost, about 20 years. And when I was first starting, super speeds were they were throwaway lenses. Nobody wanted them. You know, I vividly remember sending customers quotes for an overhaul, and they said, it's not worth it. I'm just going to put them back in the closet or whatever. So yeah, every set of super speeds, I kicked myself for not saying, well, I'll take them for $1,000, because now they go for anywhere between $80,000 and $100,000. I have not watched that movie yet, Johnny. It's still on my list. I did see a meme yesterday that spoke to me too well. It was, the caption was, list of movies on my to watch list, and then the other frame was the movies I've seen 100 times, and the guy's running to the movies he's already seen 100 times, and the watch list is lonely and sad. And that's me. I've got hundreds of movies that I'm supposed to be watching, but last night's a perfect example. I could have watched any of the movies on my list, but instead I went to Godzilla vs. Gigan or no, which one was it? Megalon. Godzilla versus Megalon. I must have seen that, I don't know, 50 times. Made my father watch There Will Be Blood for the first time, or rewatched it. That's a fantastic movie. It was his first time. Yeah, I ended up watching that Godzilla movie because my brother and I wanted my daughters to see it. Because when I was their age, my brother and I watched that probably once a week. Have you seen No Country for Old Men? I have not, actually. I keep seeing it come up in my, hey, you should watch this. And I have not seen No Country, sadly. That is also on my list. Stream and go home and watch. I can't. That is not a child-friendly movie. That's gonna have to come late at night. Oh, Mr. Gomez, thank you again. How does the Quick S4 zoom compare to the Quick S4 Master Prime? I'm not sure. I don't understand that question. Also, would you recommend the new Pancro eyes? I do really like the Pancro Classics. The new Pancros. The Quick S4 zoom, I assume you're talking about the CXX 15-40. But I'm not sure. Quick S4 compared to Master Primes, there's no comparison whatsoever. Quick S4s are going to have a lot of character, a lot of really pleasing cinematic qualities to them. Whereas Master Primes are going to be just sheer raw image quality. Both are going to be Super 35s. There's no real comparison there. Yeah, if you're looking for a really clean, accurate picture, go with the master primes. If you're looking for something really cinematic and rich character, go with the Cooke S4s, definitely. And then same thing between the CXX and the master zoom. If you want that character, go with the CXX from Cooke. If you want something really clean and sharp, go with the master zoom. So I compared S4 to Cooke zoom. Same thing applies there. Those will match really well. The S4s are going to pair just fine with pretty much any Cooke zoom, whether it's the CXX or even, well, to some degree, the older Cooke stuff. But if you're talking about like a 20 to 100 or a Cooke 25 to 250, you know, a proper vintage Cooke zoom, those are going to have even more character than a Cooke S4. So that's going to be a bit tricky to pair up. A movie I thought visually is Hansel and Gretel. Ooh, I have not seen that. Watch it at your office in your closet. I don't have a closet. My office is a closet. My last question, sorry, you're not bothering me at all, Mr. Gomez. Cooke S4 versus Pancro. Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say if your goal is to get as much vintage character as possible, go with the Pancro Classics. If you don't want quite that much vintage character, then the Cooke S4s are a fantastic choice. You really can't go wrong with S4s. I think those are going to be sleepers over the next 20 years or so. They're going to, you know, because they're Super 35, you might see those drop in value slowly. But I think those will be very sought after in 20, 30 years. Or even better, watch it with your pop. It will mean a lot more. I might. It's hard for us to be in the same place at the same time because of COVID right now. We try to... Everybody at the office is socially distancing. I have one Leica R set. What would you do? Rehouse the Leica R, or with the rehousing money, would you buy another set of lenses? Depends on what you're using them for. If the lenses are being used on a big production, and you have a focus puller, and you have really strict timelines, and you need that functionality, I would say, yeah, go for a proper rehousing. And when I say proper, I mean TLS or zero optic. That's it. Don't bother with anyone else. If it's just you and you're the one that's pulling focus and you're, one-man band sort of situation, I would say save the money, get a second set, and rent that set out when you're not using it. Because for the really indie guys, or the ones that are doing all their own stuff, they're really versatile, and you're, this lens is on your camera and you're pulling focus and you know how everything works and you know the limitations. I think the Cine-Mod is way smarter than a fully rehoused lens. The rehoused lens benefits a bigger crew. You know, if you're using a wireless focus and you've got a focus puller off and, you know, off camera, and it has to be perfectly repeatable every time because your production is costing thousands of dollars a minute, then yeah, you're going to want the rehousing. It's going to save everybody, including you, a lot of time and money. What is your thoughts on Cook Speed Pancros versus Super Baltars? Personally, I prefer Super Baltars. I've loved Super Baltars from day one. Before this whole vintage thing was a fad. I'm sure I've told this story on the stream before. My introduction to the Super Baltars was with a DP named Harris Savides. And he had these old lenses and wanted them remounted to PL, and that was one of the first projects that I was involved in with my father when we started Duclos lenses. It was one of the first special projects, I guess you would say, that wasn't just regular lens maintenance. And I didn't, at the time, I couldn't understand, you know, we had, this was, the Cook S4s were booming, Arri Ultra Primes were popular. The 2040-290 was just coming out. Why would he want to use these old lenses? It didn't make sense at the time. Remember, this predates digital cinema also. So we had a lot of talks with him and his AC, and he kind of explained it, and it made sense once he explained it. And then I saw the results of the lenses once the movie came out. The movie was called Margot at the Wedding. It's Jack Black and Nicole Kidman. You would never expect them to be in the same movie. But he shot the whole thing on Super Baltars. And after that, I sort of, because I saw what he did with them, I fell in love with those lenses. And I've always liked the Super Baltars compared to the Pancros. That said, there's two modern ways to get those. You can have the Cook Pancro Classics, which is Cook's recreation of the Pancros, or you can have something like the Caldwell Neo Super Baltars that takes that original design and then recreates it with modern glass. So they're both the same concept, an old design with new materials. In that regard, I would prefer the Pancro Classics. But if you're talking about original lenses, for me, Super Baltars, definitely. In Los Angeles, how common is it for DPs to have their lens sets? Oh, very common. Very, very common. The common practice here in LA, even if you're a top-end ASC cinematographer, most of them, not all, most of them own their own lenses and they keep them with a rental house. So when they're not using the lenses, the rental house can put them in their inventory and rent them out. But most DPs own their own lenses to some degree. Ooh, that's a heavy focus. Whoa. Have you ever set hands onto the Ultra Panavision 70 anamorphic lens? I recall it's composed of two huge and bulky prisms stuffed into a barrel. How does manufacturer come up with such a design? I did touch the Panavision, the Ultra 70s, maybe 5 years ago or something like that, when they were on display at Panavision right after, what was it? Was it Hateful Eight, I think? I don't remember. I think it was Hateful Eight. And yeah, those were very cool to... I mean, they're historic, so it was cool to just touch them, sort of. This is questionable. This lens is in really good shape, but focus is really heavy, and this iris is kind of gummy. So I'm expecting to find some old lubrication under there. All right, first things first, let's update the current lens. 80. I need to find one of these for myself, the 80 Summilux. I think I'm gonna start building my own set and sort of document the whole experience, to give people an idea of how this whole vintage lens hunting thing goes and what to look out for and all that stuff. Okay, so that's updated, and now my database, 80mm f1.4. There are 3 versions. Let's see, 315. All right, so once again, I don't know where this falls in the range. 67, yep, that's the right front. I don't see any identifiers to differentiate these two. Damn. Thank you, Mr. Gomez. You always have good questions, so I appreciate that. Hateful Eight is one of the least favorite Quentin Tarantino movies. It's so good. Might be the only one that thinks Reservoir Dogs might be as good as Pulp and maybe a little better. I don't disagree with you there, Johnny. I mean, I enjoyed Hateful Eight. It just, compared to Tarantino's other stuff, is not my favorite at all. So I don't have any info on this. Are you still here, Phil? Maybe Phil can do his lookup. F1.4 to 116. Hit me. I'm glad you're still here. There's the serial number. Where is it? 3152154. If you are able to find the model number, it's either 11881 or 11880. 3152154. I'm assuming it's 11880. $1981. Oh, so this is like first gen. So this has to be 11880 for the model. We got 9 blades. Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Phil. You just confirmed all of my data. I don't know where you're looking, but thank you. So if you could just stay on the mod stream every Saturday, that would help. And this is rubber. And I don't have length and diameter for this either. Alright, the ROM version is 712 grams. So this should be very similar. Tattooed on your chest. Nope. Lighter. 638. But the tattoo's backwards, right, Phil? So when you look in the mirror, or is it like upside down? So when you look down, you can read it. I do have to find the rest. I need the optical design for this. I don't have the elements and groups. I'll have to find all that later. Mirrored like ambulance. It's perfect. All right. Okay, that's it. Record is updated, or my database is updated. All right, back to work here. So I'm very curious to see what we're going to find under the iris here, under the mount. I suspect it's going to be sort of dried up gummy lubrication. If this is one person's set, it looks like they may attempt to same year set. Oh, I don't know. Possibly. Yes, this is all one person's set. Did I just run out of music? I did. There we go. Yeah, all of these belong to one individual. I think that's actually a misconception from a lot of the mod streams, because I get a lot of messages saying, hey, can I buy your lenses? Or hey, are you selling your lenses, your set? So I think that people pop onto the mod stream randomly and they assume that I'm just modding my lenses over and over every weekend. But to be clear, for anyone that's just joining or maybe doesn't know, I don't own any of the lenses that I mod on the mod stream. These are customers that send their lenses to us for Duclos lenses to perform the Cine-Mod. And on Phil's question, usually the mods that I'm doing, so like if you look in the description, it lists each lens that I'm doing. It's almost always one person's set, because we have a pretty firm policy about mixing up lenses. They all go, you can't see it, it's just off camera to the left here. But for lenses that come in from mods, they're in bins, they're in individual bins, and those lenses should never leave each other. It's almost like siblings coming into a adoption agency. So I at all costs, I avoid mixing and matching sets that people send in. This looks broken. Or bent. Oh yeah, that's broken. Okay, moment of truth. That looks pretty clean. I genuinely expected more gunk under there, based on how it felt. But let's see. Wow, it's almost completely dry. Okay, so that's probably what was causing that stickiness. That's just bare aluminum being rubbed off. So it's the opposite of what I said. Instead of it being old and sticky, it was dried up almost entirely, and it was metal on metal. There's practically no lube. A tiny, tiny bit. I need to bring the MS Optics 28 f2 pancake over for you to look at. Those MS Optics lenses are fantastic. I love those. What's the most common focal length set that people send to Cine-Mod? 1928. Oh, I couldn't tell you. I mean, that's a solid set that you just laid out there, Adelson. But I don't know that there's an average. There's a lot of different types of, we get one-offs from time to time. Someone just wants to send in one lens because they're filling out their set. Most often, yeah, it's a set. I don't think that this is a set. I think this person is filling out an existing set, because these are all long focal lengths. There's no 19, there's no 28 or 24, even 35. There's almost always a 35. So I'm assuming that this particular set that I'm working on today is filler for another set. Just saw the Macro-Elmarit-R 35 to 70 3.5 is crazy expensive. That's not expensive. Look up the 35 to 70 f2.8. That's expensive. That said, the 35 to 70 f2.8 Macro-Elmarit, I believe it is, the ROM version, that is one of the only Leica R zooms that I enjoy. That and the 70 to 180. Every time someone mentions the price of Leica R's being insane, I cry a little bit on the inside for selling my Leica R's years ago. Which, again, goes back to what Phil was saying earlier about the Dan Sasaki cherry picking of Leica R's for Dalsa. My set of Leica R's was one of the sets of lenses that Dan Sasaki had cherry-picked for Dalsa and never got around to rehousing them. So they were the cherry of the cherry. Jordan Smith? Wait a second. Like that Jordan Smith? Like the Smith test kitchen Jordan Smith? $11K for the 2.8. Yeah, that's about what it should be. They hover around $10K. And the Ingenue 45-90. I do like that lens, yes. In the flesh? Well, not so much. In the pixel. Regardless, happy Saturday, Jordan. Good to see you. Sort of. It's nuts. Is that price justified solely by the rarity? Yes. The 35 to 70 they made. Oh man, I had an article on those. But yes, it's the rarity. They made very few of those. There's something about some military contract, and they did a bunch for the military. I can't remember. But yeah, the 35 to 70 2.8. The most recent one is very rare. I'm currently working on the 80mm Jordan, which is kind of heavy. But then again, this is big glass, so it's kind of difficult for this little helicoid to move it back and forth smoothly. Oh, that did not get... Do you Cine-Mod the Leica Noctilux? We have in the past. It's not... The Noctilux lenses were only made for M mount, and they don't really lend themselves well for most cinema cameras. We generally don't do declicking on M lenses because they require pretty much a full teardown to get to the aperture mechanism. So a full teardown means a full CLA, because you can't tear down a lens without cleaning out the grease and putting in new grease. If you do, you're just asking for trouble. So the declicking, because it requires a full teardown, ends up costing a lot. So we usually don't even offer declicking for M lenses, I should say. But the front ring and the focus gear, we do from time to time. I think for most people, if you're set on using Leica M lenses for cinema and you have the means to get your hands on a Noctilux, you might as well just go with the Leica M0.8, which is their Cine version of the 50 Noctilux. And it has a stepless aperture, it's got the focus and iris gear built in, has an 80mm front ring. It's basically a factory Cine-Mod. It's nice to see some of the mechanics since I just spin all the glass. Just toss it. What do you? That's. I don't know if you guys have bins of parts, but we should definitely talk or tell Alex that I'm interested. Alex will tell you, Jordan, that we don't throw anything away. I can't say if that's good or bad, but okay, that makes sense. I'm sure that most people request that back anyway. Alright, that feels really good. Happy with that. Oh, we need the baffle. I'm not sure how far we're going to get on the other focal lengths today. I think there's two more. What is it? Yeah, 90 and a 135. All right. Mamias, of course, C lens is an option to consider. Just stick to 645. So where's it? Oh, the RB. The RB lenses I don't recommend because they have the built-in shutter that is not good for cinema. So the 645 versions do not have the integrated shutter, and they are much better for motion picture work. Also, Matthew, at least how I'm told, if you guys didn't have a bin of old ball tires, Alex would have. Yeah. Alright. And we do have a front ring for this one. Yay. No, that's way too undersized. Alright, that's going to go back on the lathe. Ooh, that's gritty. Matt, do you know any affordable solutions to 100 plus close-up filters? Why is that so gritty? What is in there? Oh, this might be dented. I'm not sure what you mean by 100 millimeter. Like a diopter? Oh, it's much better. I think it was just dirty. Yes, I'm having trouble to find diopters over 100 millimeters to try the anamorphic scopes. No, nothing's going to be more affordable than that. That's, I mean, you can get some clamp-on stuff that's going to be like 114, but it's going to be way over $400. Even smaller stuff like 95 clamp-on, it's going to be more than $400, at least for quality stuff. I suspect you can find something from China that's lower than $400, but it's not going to be good quality. Alright, focus gear is going to go on this one later. And I think that's all I have time for today. Actually, what I'm going to do while you guys are still here, if anyone wants to hang out, I'm going to go over these other lenses real quick in the database and update accordingly. So you guys can still ask questions if you have them. So, what do we have? This should be the 90. Ooh, this one's a little rough around. This is an early one based on this focus grip. What do you do if the focus is heavy on a lens? Also for that 80 millimeter, I'm certain that how heavy that was, we brought it up with the customer. So prior to the mods, every lens that comes in goes through a whole process. They get evaluated, we write up all the notes, we talk with the customer and make sure that what they want is what we're doing, give them a full breakdown of the mods on a quote. So I suspect if I look up that particular customer's file, it'll say focus heavy. And we would offer, in that case, we would offer to perform a CLA that would clean out all the old grease, make it nice and brand new, put in brand new grease, and it would feel much better. But the fact that that's not on this quote, no, it's not. I'm sure that we brought it up and the customer said, it's okay, I'm okay with it. So, Cine-Mod, here it is. Oh, that's not it. Here we go. No, that's not it either. Where is it? Well, I don't see this particular job at the moment, but oh, is this it? 3.8. Ah, here it is. Okay, so the conditions. 80 millimeter, focus heavy and occasionally slightly rubs. So the customer was given those notes and they know that's what we saw. And the fact that I didn't communicate with this customer myself, but the technician that did, if the customer said, oh yeah, let's do a clean and lube on it and get it better, that would be on this paperwork and it wouldn't be here for the mod. It would be in the service department. Any good ways to mitigate slop in the focus helicoids that leads to the image shift during focus? No, there is no good way to mitigate it. Some technicians or some armchair technicians will say, oh yeah, just pack some heavier grease into it and that'll solve it. But that's not going to solve it. That's a sloppy band-aid solution to that problem. The only correct way to eliminate image shift in a lens like a Leica R would be to, again, full disassembly, clean out all the grease. We do what we call a spray and bake, which is where we spray on almost like a liquid Teflon and we bake it so it becomes hard, and it takes up that slop, that play between the helicoids. By the way, is my lens still there? I don't know. Is it? Let's find out. Whoops. Oh, I did that too quick. There it goes. It is. Your lens is here. If you're referring to the Contax 25, this says rush for 3:15, so it'll be done first thing next. It'll be done Monday. I shouldn't be giving away that info on a mod stream though. So sorry if I'm divulging too much. Alright, so 90 millimeter. Let's see here. Which one is this? 2.8.2 f2. So there are 3 versions of the 90 millimeter f2, one of which is an Apo Summicron. The other 2 are just a regular Summicron. So this is one of the regular. I have a 19mm version 1 oxidation in the first degree. I don't know what you're saying. It's possible to repair. Only appears in the backlight. if it's not showing up on your footage, I'd say don't bother repairing it. But yeah, we can definitely tear it apart, and actually that one's really easy to get to the front element, so it's possible that it's something that could just wipe right off. If it requires polishing and recoating, then it's doable, but I can tell you right now it's going to cost more than that lens is worth. Okay, so this one, serial number 3131321. It's an odd number. Phil, you still around? I need your chest again. Oh, E55, that'll tell me. Okay, so this is an E55. The first one is, in theory, a Series 7. So, hit me. 3131321. This should be, again, Phil, let me see if my numbers are correct. This is how I know that my database is working. This should be 1969 to 1986. And the model should be 11219. $1981. Okay, that fits in that range. Iris blades. How many blades do you have, little guy? 8. Minimum focus 70 centimeters, perfect. So this is a Series 7, not E55. 11219. Okay, perfect. Wait, no. 11219 is. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay. Okay, well, my previous record said this is a Series 7, but this is clearly a 55 millimeter. I'll put an ore, and this is metal. Thank you again, Phil. Should be, according to my database, 720 grams. So yours says Series 7 as well. Shoot. And this is not. Now I'm at a loss. This does not add up. I'm glad I remembered. Is it okay to put aperture gear on my Zeiss ZFs? Yes, it is okay, but you're probably going to cover the larger markings. There's two sets of iris markings on those. One is super tiny. It's meant for the camera to see it through a little window. But the larger iris marks might get covered up by a gear. 11254 is 55. Yes, correct. That's what I have. But according to what you just said, this serial number falls into 11219. Yeah, the Apo, that's what I have as well, 60 millimeter. But this weight doesn't match up. I don't know if I even care about that, really. Oh, you know what? Because we took the hood off already. Maybe that's why. Still not even close. This says 720 grams. So this weight is the same. Maybe I just need to change the weight in my database. Well, so now we're mixed up here, Phil. It's one or the other. This is definitely, well, I don't have a 55 mil ring here right now to try it, but it's got the lip. This could be a Series 7. All right, this calls for a deeper dive. What are we looking at? 1980-ish. Okay, so I need to bookmark that page. One 219. There it is, 11219. E55, not 77. Okay, hang on. '90 Summicron. Oh no, we're talking about the Elamrit 2.8. No, we're not. Summicron F2. Oh man. Oh, I've never seen this one before. 500 millimeter MR Telit R. That's interesting. I gotta find that. So, I don't know. Oh, there. Okay, so let's see. 90 F2 Summicron-R 11219. Oh. 5 elements, 4 groups. Good to know. That's what this says. Okay, so that's, I already have that info. This also says E55. Total length 62.5. That's correct. 70, that's correct. This says 560 grams, not 720. I'll go with that. I'm just going to change my weight because that's a bad number. Okay. I'm glad we sorted that out. What does it say about 11254? That's a Summicron, 90 Summicron-R. I have all that info, Phil. 1986 to 2002. And this is another fascinating thing with my database here. A lot of this info was harvested originally from other sources, and I just sort of refine it and confirm it with my other, basically cross-checking all the data that I can until I'm confident that everything is accurate. And according to the previous source, the Apo Summicron-R was produced between 2002 and 2009. That's got to be one of the latest lenses I know of that Leica produced. I didn't even know they were still going up that late. I thought most of them ended in 2001-ish. So, very interesting. Alright, so that one's settled. Last one is this 135, which is also an older model. 135-28. Three versions again. 334-1642. Maybe it's not an older version. What says you about that, Phil? 135-28, number 334-1642. I have 1976 to 1998, model 11211. Oops. $724 grams. Yep, bingo. Late 1984. Okay, that matches up. One of the last produced that year. Okay. Should be model 11211. Again, 5 elements. Oh no, 4. What? Yeah, 5 elements, 4 groups. $135, Phil. Yep, bingo. Okay, iris blades. Eight blades. See, that's my notes also say 55 or Series 7, which is such a pain. because 55 and 77 are not interchangeable. I mean, Series 7, sorry. So that's the thing that people misunderstand, is they'll see that sort of note on other websites and other sources, and they'll think that it accepts both, not one or the other. All right, well, that updates my database for the day. Phil, when you look up these serial numbers, are you using that like collector's handbook thing? I have a spreadsheet. So do I. We should combine our powers. Okay. That does it for me. I've contributed Pebble Place database. Yeah, I don't think he updates his at all. That was actually the Pebble Place started most of my database, but it has since become completely unreliable. So I used to use Pebble Place, and then so there's a collector's handbook that goes basically year by year, but there's no way to look at them as a whole. You can only look at lens, like for example, you can look at the 35 Summicron for a specific year, which doesn't help me much at all. Okay, thank you everybody for hanging out on Saturday. Oh, and don't forget, head over to the link in the bottom left there, lens-geek.com. Use that URL, because that's where you'll get the discount code. And I'll see you guys next Saturday, or the Saturday after that.